Here we'll use our principles of percents, parts, and wholes to calculate sales tax. In our previous problem, we had Joe buy a discounted TV for $300. Let's say Joe buys that TV at $300 with a sales tax rate of 7%. Part A asks to find how much sales tax Joe will pay. Let's visualize our TV's price of $300 as a circle. Now our sales tax rate is 7%, so we're going to shade in 7% of the circle in green. It will be a fairly small wedge. We'll label that with 7%, and we'll label our circle with $300. We know that our shaded region represents 7% of the whole circle, but we don't know how many dollars that's worth. We'll make a note here that we have unknown dollars. Based on this picture, we can see that we know the whole is 300. Let's write down that we have a whole of 300, and write down that we have a percent of 7%. Therefore, the only piece of the puzzle we don't know is the part, because that is an unknown number of dollars. Therefore, we call the part X because it's unknown. To find the sales tax, we can use our percent, part, and whole formula. We'll take the percent over 100 and say that that's equal to the part over the whole. The percent was 7%, so we'll say 7 over 100 equals the unknown part X over the whole, which is 300. And now we will do a cross product to figure out X. We'll take the 7 on top of the first fraction and multiply by the 300 on the bottom of the other fraction. On the right side of our equation, we'll take the 100 and multiply by X. Then we'll divide by the number next to X, and so I'll make a note that we're dividing by 100. This means that our X will equal 7 multiplied by 300 over 100. Note I've written the X on the left side of the equals rather than the right, and I've switched the order around to place our fraction on the right. This is okay. As long as we have the X by itself on one side and everything else on the other, that's all we need. Now we'll enter all this into the calculator and say 7 times 300 over 100. When we press enter, we get 21. This means that our sales tax is $21. We're going to make a note of that. Next to our X, we now know that's 21. Therefore, our number of dollars is now known. That's $21. So the whole is $300. The sales tax is $21. That represents 7% of the whole. This will be our answer to part A. Now in part B, we are asked how much does Joe pay for the TV after tax? We'll do that on the next slide. For part B, to figure out how much Joe pays after tax, we keep in mind that the original price of the TV was $300. The sales tax we just found from part A is $21. Now, the tax will always increase the price you pay for an item. Therefore, we'll have to add the price plus the sales tax. We'll put a plus sign next to the 21 and take 300 plus 21. If you add these, this will give you $321, and that will be our total price. This will be the answer for part B. This is fairly similar to our previous video about discounts, but remember, discounts will always lower your price, and taxes will always increase your price. So whereas we subtracted for the discount, we'll add for tax.